There was a Street Fighter boss you were never meant to meet. People whispered one name. Sheng Long. Perfect runs. Frozen timer. Final boss replaced. Real secret or perfect prank. Keep watching. Early 90s arcades were loud and crowded. Screens flashed, coins clinked, kids lined up. One rumor cut through everything. Sheng Long, not on the select screen, not in the manual. A hidden test only the best could reach. The rules sounded brutal. No hits, no chip, no mistakes. Reach the last fight spotless. Let the round stall, watch the timer hang, then the impossible. The boss gets tossed aside, a colder fighter steps in. Faster, meaner. People swore it happened. Friends swore their cousin did it. You wanted proof. Everyone did. If you were there, you remember the silence when someone went perfect. I remember the hush when the timer touched to 99. Why did it spread so fast? Because it fit the scene. Arcades reward skill and nerve. Perfection feels like a key. Earn it and the door opens. Miss once and it's over. Word traveled between cities. Magazines printed clean screenshots. They listed steps that felt insane. Insane made it believable. Operators watched kids burn through credits. Crowds leaned in when someone strung perfect rounds. Not real, not at all. Or was it? Here is the core. One victory line planted the seed. One bold article turned it into a guide. Players chased a ghost for years. Studios later nodded to the legend. The myth would not die. That's our path. How a mistranslated line became a phantom mentor. How a prank became a pilgrimage. Next we hit the facts, where the name came from, who pushed it into culture, and how it changed fighting games for good. Chapter 1. The line that launched a legend. It started with one screen, a victory quote after a match. You must defeat Sheng Long to stand a chance. Players read it and froze. Who is Sheng Long? Where do you find him? Why is he stronger than the boss? Here is the twist. Sheng Long was not a man. It pointed to a move, Ryu's famous uppercut, the rising dragon punch. Said fast, it sounds like a name. Said wrong, it becomes a person. Localization did the rest. Different languages, tight deadlines. A phrase turns into a proper noun. Sheng Long looks real on the screen. It looks official. That is all a rumor needs. Fans filled the gap. If the game tells you to beat someone, he must exist. Maybe he is a hidden sensei. Maybe he is the true final test. The quote plants the seed. Arcades water it every weekend. Some versions tried to fix it. Later prints changed the wording. Dragon Punch replaces the name in some places, but the myth had momentum. Once people see a name, they chase it. Screenshots get saved, quotes get copied, friends repeat it until it hardens. I remember reading that line and scanning the character select. No Sheng Long anywhere, which made it better. If he is not on the screen, he must be secret. If he is secret, he must be strong. That logic felt right in a noisy room. Now the community starts building rules. Perfect runs, no damage. Do not waste a single hit, enter around a special way. String 10 draws, make the timer freeze. Each step adds weight. Each step makes the myth feel earned. A single mistranslation became a map. It pointed to a door that was not there. But players still tried the key. Because the name looked legit. Because the test sounded pure. Because perfection as a password feels fair. That is how one line becomes a legend. Not by proof, by repetition, by the right kind of difficulty, by the promise that skill unlocks something rare. Next, we move from the quote to the crowd. The arcade pressure cooker. Why rumors exploded there and why Sheng Long was the perfect spark. Chapter 2. The arcade pressure. Cooker arcades made rumors feel real. You could see a crowd form in seconds. One kid claims a secret. 10 kids lean in. Everyone watches the next run like it's destiny. Information moves fast in those rooms, not online, in person. Word of mouth hits harder when money's on the glass. A quarter means belief. Another quarter means commitment. Timing mattered. Street Fighter lines were long. You waited and memorized patterns. You studied how winners played. Perfection looked possible if you copied enough. So Sheng Long felt within reach. Magazines held real power back then. If a page showed a screenshot, you trusted it. If a guide listed steps, you tried them. Arcade kids treated print like law. Pages turned into rituals. Rituals turned into legend. Operators noticed the behavior shift. Players stopped showboating. They played careful, defensive. No wasted buttons. Games took longer. Credits vanished faster. That meant louder rooms and bigger crowds. Sheng Long fit right in. It rewarded patience and discipline. It punished sloppy play. That matched the culture. You wanted to prove you weren't lucky. You wanted to prove you were precise. The social loop kept it alive. Someone almost pulled it off. Someone saw the timer stick for a moment. Someone swore the boss glitched. Close calls felt like evidence. Near misses became proof. Letters poured into magazines. Did we miss a step? Is there a hidden input? Is the machine version different? Editors answered carefully. They teased, they hinted. They never fully killed the fire. I remember the body language around perfect rounds. Trash talk went quiet. People shifted forward and held their breath. No one wanted to break the streak. Silence hit harder than any soundtrack. That pressure made the myth sticky. You could feel the room want it. When a myth feeds a crowd, it spreads. When a crowd repeats a myth, it hardens. Sheng Long gained weight every weekend. This was the perfect environment for a prank to thrive. Skill mattered. Status mattered. Proof felt one try away. Add clean screenshots and strict rules. You get a wildfire. Now we hit the spark that lit it. A single magazine feature. A clean layout. A brutal checklist. The April moment that turned whispers into a chase. Chapter 3. The magazine that lit the fire. Then came the issue that changed everything. An April feature with clean screenshots, a layout that looked official, a promise that felt cruel and perfect. The headline said it was possible. The step said you would suffer. Play as Ryu. Take no damage the entire game. Reach the final boss spotless. Force round after round to end in a draw. Let the timer sit at 99. Do not win, do not lose. Do it 10 times in a row. Then the screen will freeze. The boss will be tossed aside. A new fighter will walk in. The images looked real. You could see a tall figure on screen. You could see the boss thrown like garbage. You could see a new life bar. The name everyone whispered sat there in pixels. Sheng Long. The write-up painted him as a monster. Faster fireballs, longer reach. Every move you knew but sharpened. A rising uppercut that burned on contact. Damage that erased your health in seconds. A sense that the game wanted you humbled. There was even a cheeky credit line. A name that read like nonsense. I said it out loud and laughed. Waste tokens. Fooled again. Now try reading that fast. You get the joke. Most of us missed it. The tone was straight-faced. No wink. No smile. That was the trick. If you wanted it to be true, it felt true. The photos sold it. The checklist made it feel earned. Arcades reacted overnight. Kids lined up with notebooks. People timed rounds with pocket watches. Operators watched credits melt. Some tried to turn off the rumor. They failed. You cannot stop a secret everyone wants. I remember holding that issue in my hands. I showed it to friends like a trophy. We argued about the timer, we fought about the number of draws. We planned entire Saturdays around a single attempt. Every near miss kept the story alive. That article did not spread a rumor. It gave the rumor a spine, rules, proof, a face to chase. It became the blueprint for a perfect gate. Next we follow the shockwave. Other magazines repeat the claim. Players call companies for answers. Even the people who made the game get dragged in. The prank starts to escape the page. Chapter 4. When the joke escaped the page. The shockwave hit fast. Other magazines picked it up as fact. They ran the steps. They printed the name. They showed the same clean shots. Now, the rumor looked official everywhere. Arcades felt the pressure. Crowds formed around one cabinet. Kids spent whole allowances in one afternoon. Operators started getting phone calls. Is this real? Is my machine missing a chip? Do I need a different board? Hotlines lit up. Players called for tech support and secrets. Some companies tried to redirect the noise. They pushed callers back to the article. They could not prove a negative. No one can. Import shops joined the mess. People swore the secret worked in Japan only. Others swore it needed a specific revision. Some said a certain arcade had the right board. That kept the chase alive. If it failed here, try there. Fan art began to appear. Comics and manhwa slipped in a stern teacher. He looked like the name sounded. Tall, cold, ancient power in his hands. The myth started to wear a face. I remember the rumor evolving week by week. Someone added a new step. Someone claimed a different timer. Someone swore you must end a round with a specific move. Every change made failure your fault, not the rumor's fault. That kept people hooked. Arcade owners adapted. Some put signs on the cabinet. No perfect run attempts during peak hours. Others leaned into it. They ran small events. Beat the checklist and win a stack of credits. No one collected. The story broke containment. It was no longer one article. It was a culture loop. Players repeated it to new players. Writers repeated it to new readers. Artists drew the teacher like he had always been there. That is how a prank becomes a reality in practice. You could not see him, but you could feel his shadow in the way people played, in the way crowds watched, in the way operators managed time. This set the stage for something new. If the myth would not die, the game could answer, not with the same name, but with the same idea. A hidden fight for the worthy, a door behind the door. Next we meet the answer the community deserved, a real secret boss, a brutal test, a legend with teeth, the day a rumor shaped the future of fighting games. Chapter 5. From hoax to canon adjacent. The community wanted a real secret fight. The makers felt that energy. They gave players something sharp. A hidden boss with true menace, not the same name, same spirit. You pick your fighter, you do your best work, you reach the end, and the air changes. The screen shifts. A new enemy steps in. He does not ask permission. He deletes the final boss. For you, meet the real answer. A shadow with red hair and silent eyes. Akuma. He moves like a knife. He hits like a truck. Every mistake costs a round. Every pattern you learned breaks in seconds. Players felt the message. You wanted a secret master. Here is one. Earn it. Survive it. Prove you belong. This was smart design. It pulled power from the rumor without copying it. It made the hunt real, but it also gave the studio control. They set the rules this time. They chose the gate and the reward. The idea of a true teacher also took shape. Fans had imagined a mentor for years. The myth demanded a master behind the moves. The canon answered later. The students had a name to honor. They had a face to fight for. The ghost became a person with history. I remember the first talk after that boss dropped. People argued in circles. Is this the real Sheng Long? Is this the studio saying yes? We knew the answer was no, but it felt like a yes in spirit. The vibe matched, the challenge delivered, the myth and the game finally touched. Not directly, but enough to satisfy the crowd, enough to calm the phones and letters, enough to honor the chase without admitting the prank. That is how legends bend reality. They push creators to respond. They push fans to keep digging. Both sides shape the story. Both sides claim a win. Next, the rumor gets a second life in print. Same magazine, new generation, an even bolder promise, and a hidden message right in front of our eyes. Chapter 6. The sequel prank years pass. New hardware, new moves, fresh matchups, and then it happens again. The same outlet runs another piece. New art, new steps, same promise. You read it and feel the old itch. This time, the story is cleaner. The design looks official. The wording is sure of itself. They're not asking. They're telling you it's real. The instructions hit like a dare. Perfect this, perfect that. Do these steps in this order. Do not blink. Miss once and start over. You know this tune. You still hum it. There's a trick hidden in the text. First letters quietly spell a message. You see it only if you slow down. Most people never slow down. They are too busy chasing the door. They want the fight more than the truth. Arcades replay the dance. Crowds form. Timers get watched like a heartbeat. Players build small teams for attempts. One player runs. One player tracks steps. One player watches for tells. Everyone hopes the screen freezes. I remember a friend pointing at the first letters. He laughed and closed the magazine. I wanted to be mad. But the design was so cheeky, I had to respect it. It fooled almost everyone. Again, why did we fall for it twice? Because hope beats reason in rooms like that. Because the first prank felt like a bond. Because the myth had history by then. History makes lies feel safe. It turns them into tradition. The sequel prank gave the community a second wave. New players got their first taste, old players got their nostalgia rush, the legend stayed warm, and the name stayed loud. Now we move forward in time. The era of nods and winks, official art, cameos, a late surprise that finally lets you throw hands with a version of the ghost. Chapter 7. Resurrection and recognition. The myth refuses to fade. Studios notice the persistence. They begin to play along. Small things at first. A profile here, a mention there, a piece of art that feels like a salute. Fans read the room. It's not canon, they say, but it's not ignored. It's a wink to the old guard, a nod to the quarters we all lost, a tip of the hat to every perfect run that almost worked. Then modern games expand the sandbox. You can walk around now, you can train, explore, and find trouble. Hidden fights fit this style. Hard optional bosses fit even better. The myth finds a new door to walk through. One day the community spots him. Not the exact name, not the exact history, but the aura is unmistakable. A master who looked like the teacher fans always imagined, with blade-sharp discipline. Tough as nails, ready to punish mistakes. He is not a menu option. He is not a cutscene. He is standing out there like a dare. You fight him and feel the echo. This is what the rumor promised, a test beyond the boss, a fight that demands clean inputs, a duel that punishes nerves. I remember the first clip that circulated. People cheered in comments. Finally, the ghost throws a punch. Finally, the myth swings back. This matters for another reason. It shows how player culture shapes design. A joke becomes a community goal. A community goal becomes a design note. Years later, the design note becomes content you can play. That loop keeps series fresh. It keeps history alive. Now we step back from the timeline. Why did this work so well? Why did one mistranslated line grow into a global legend? Let's break the psychology. Chapter 8. Why it worked first. The gate felt fair. No paywall, no secret code, just play perfectly. That sounds harsh, but it also sounds honest. Master the game and earn the prize. Second, the authority looked legit. A real magazine with clean screenshots. A checklist with numbers and rules. Presentation matters. If it looks official, it feels true. Kids trust print. Players trust images. Third, the environment amplified it. Arcades reward skill in public. Your best run happens in front of a crowd. A crowd turns effort into theater. Theater turns rumors into legends. Everyone shares the story. Everyone believes together. Fourth, failure feels like progress. Every near miss proves you are close. Close is addictive. Close keeps you grinding. Close keeps you paying. You don't question the door. You blame your hands. That keeps the myth safe. Fifth, the name works. Sheng Long sounds ancient and powerful. It feels like a teacher's name. It fits the aesthetic. That sound makes your brain fill in the gaps. You picture a stern master because the name tells you to. Sixth, the payoff is perfect in your head. You imagine a fight better than any real fight. Your vision updates with every rumor, harder projectiles, longer reach, a burning uppercut. No game can beat that image. The imagination wins. Seventh, the story honors the values of the scene: discipline, control, patience, perfection. The myth says the quiet part out loud: play clean and you earn a secret path. That's irresistible. Finally, time did its part. Years pass and the story matures. Jokes become folklore, folklore becomes heritage. New players inherit the myth like a family tale. They repeat it with the same grin we had. That keeps it alive. I remember explaining it to a younger cousin. He asked if it was real. I told him the best answer. Real enough to change games. Real enough to make you better. Real enough to matter. Now we wrap it up. One line, one prank, one culture ready to believe. Let's close the loop. Conclusion. The greatest gaming prank of the 90s. It began with a line on a victory screen. It grew teeth in a glossy magazine. It lived in the hearts of kids with pockets full of coins. Not because it was true, because it deserved to be true. Sheng Long turned skill into a myth. He made perfection feel like a key. He made crowds hold their breath. He made arcades feel like temples. If you were there, you remember the hush around a perfect run. You remember checking the timer like it was your pulse. You remember believing that one more try could break the world open. Studios heard that heartbeat. They answered with real secrets. They shaped bosses that felt like rumors made flesh. They nodded to the legend so the community could smile and say, "We told you so." That's why this prank sits on top. It did more than fool people. It taught them how to play cleaner. It bound strangers into squads. It pushed a genre forward. It blurred the line between myth and design. Was Sheng Long real, not as a man, but as a force? Absolutely. He changed how we played. He changed what we asked from games. He showed how one sentence can bend a whole scene. So here's the final beat. If you ever stood in front of a cabinet and told yourself don't get hit, you were already in the legend. If you ever chased a perfect round just to see what might appear, you were part of the story. The greatest gaming prank of the 90s never needed to exist on the character select. It existed in the chase, in the silence, in the belief that a secret teacher was waiting one flawless run away.